As the April rain poured down on my Burlington townhouse, a disconcerting combination of rage and numbness overtook me. My family's perception shattered before me, all due to an unintended text from my brother Kevin revealing secrets in the family chat. My mother's booming voice on the phone demanded, "Don't pretend you didn't realize your actions." I held the phone away, trying to distance myself from her shouts. "We're family. You can't just leave us because your feelings are hurt," she insisted. I had always considered myself a devoted daughter, helping my parents financially with their retirement needs. At 35, I had established a flourishing marketing consulting firm, sending extra money to my parents monthly for the past 5 years. My intention was to ensure they enjoyed a worry-free retirement. Little did I know, they saw me as nothing more than a financial resource. Kevin's text revealed the truth. "The family ATM just sent another $3,000, he wrote, with my father responding, "Almeo, keep that gravy train going. She's too clueless to know we're using her." I was stunned when screenshots showed conversations about manipulating me and exploiting my generosity. Breathless, I read message after message, unable to comprehend it all. Kevin hastily attempted to erase them, but it was too late. For a day, my phone buzzed incessantly with messages and calls from my family. My father claimed they were merely jokes, my mother accused me of misinterpreting the context, and Kevin insisted he was just complying to please our parents. Yet, their words had already revealed their true intentions. Standing in my office, I realized I had unwittingly funded their luxurious retirement for years, while they ridiculed my kindness. A sudden knock brought me back to reality. I opened the door, confronting a drenched Kevin, his expression pleading for forgiveness. "Jordan, please," he begged. "Can I come in to explain everything?" I blocked the entrance. "Explain what?" "That you've all been mocking me for years," I retorted, displaying his text about Dad's fictitious dental surgery. Kevin implored, "It's not what it looks like. Mom and Dad started this, and I just went along." "So, you played along like some mindless stooge?" I shouted, unable to restrain my anger. "I've given $3,000 monthly, added up to $180,000 over the years, excluding what I provided for alleged medical needs and last winter's supposed furnace repair." Kevin stared at the ground. "Look, they went too far, I know, but they're aging and worried." "Aging? They're 65, not 95. Dad's still playing golf with those new clubs I paid for, thinking he needed medicine." I interrupted, my voice rising. Kevin's face twisted with anguish. "I messed up," he admitted. "But they genuinely need your help now. They can't sustain their lifestyle without you." "Lifestyle they can't sustain, or mortgage on that lakeside condo?" I shot back. "I think you should leave, Kevin. I've been Jordan please for too long. Now I'm just Jordan and I'm done." Turning away from the door after Kevin reluctantly left, a strange calm settled over me. Despite the turmoil, I was finally ready to comprehend my reality and forge my own path forward. As I sat on my couch, every part of me shook with disbelief. The screenshots from their group chat kept replaying in my mind. In one message, my father had written, "I've just informed Jordan about the leaky roof. Let's see how much we can get from her this time." My mother had responded, "She's such a soft touch when it comes to family. I almost feel guilty." Almost. Then Kevin chimed in, "Maybe we should bet on how fast she sends the money." To them, I was nothing more than an ATM, a resource to tap, a joke to laugh at. I logged onto my laptop to access my banking account, revealing the same $3,000 transfer to my parents' joint account every month for the past 5 years. Not to mention an extra $40,000 for so-called emergencies, dental procedures that never happened, car issues that didn't exist, medical bills for unreceived treatments. In helping them with their submitted mortgage troubles, I postponed buying my own home for 2 years. I worked 60-hour weeks to sustain both my life and theirs. I cut costs on vacations, bought used furniture, and made do with less so they could live comfortably. For what? So they could mock me while purchasing golf clubs and going on cruises as I worried about their meals? I switched tabs to the investment account I had opened for them 3 years ago, my secret supplementary retirement fund plan for them turning 70, where I deposited $1,000 monthly. The balance was barely over $42,000. My finger hesitated over the close account button. Not yet. I needed a clearer mind. I dialed my best friend Megan, also my lawyer. "They did what?" she yelled once I explained. "I know," I replied, my tone hollow. "I've been foolish." "No, Jordan, you've been generous. They're the ones who should feel ashamed," she softened. "What do you want to do?" she asked. "I'm not sure," I confessed. Part of me wanted to completely cut ties, another part wanted to confront them for explanations. "Before anything, we must review everything you have legally in place for them. Are they involved in any of your accounts, insurance policies, or the retirement investment you mentioned?" I felt a shiver as I hadn't considered the extent of our financial entanglement beyond the monthly transfers and investment account. I had added them to my premium health insurance policy 2 years prior as dependents. My father's heart medication, which I now doubted existed, was covered under my plan. They were named beneficiaries on my life insurance policy too. "I need to disentangle all this," I stated aloud. "One step at a time," Megan advised. "Firstly, compile all documentation you possess of your financial support, bank statements, money requests, everything. Next, list every financial tie you need to cut. Finally, decide whether to communicate with them about your actions." As I ended the call, a text from my mother appeared, saying, "Your father is very upset. His blood pressure is sky high due to your behavior. We need to talk now." Something within me solidified. The manipulation was ongoing. They still believed I'd quickly respond to any health scare. Not this time. I reopened my laptop, taking screenshots of each monthly transfer, and started a document titled Family Financial Support, 5 years, detailing every declared emergency and my sacrifices. When finished, it spanned 12 pages, the truth unavoidable. I wasn't just upset, I was through. The next morning, I woke with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. My way forward was unmistakably clear. Before doubt resurfaced, I informed work I needed a personal day to handle all of this. "Jordan Wright speaking." I answered my phone shortly after. "MS, Wright, Samuel from Vermont Community Bank here, regarding closing an investment account." "Thank you for responding so promptly," I replied with a deep breath. "I need to terminate the supplemental retirement fund I set up for Robert and Patricia Wright." "Understood. Is there an issue with the account?" "The account is fine," I stated. "The issue is with the intended recipients." After confirming my identity and authority, Samuel assisted me through the closure process. Being the sole account holder, intended as a gift, I could close it without informing my parents. The $2,680 would be reverted to my primary account within 3 business days. "Is there anything else I can assist with today, Ms. Wright?" "Actually, yes. Please cancel all recurring transfers to the joint account belonging to Robert and Patricia Wright, which is currently set at $3,000 monthly." "Correct." My voice held steady. Step 1 was done. I wanted to discontinue my family's health coverage. That call was more challenging, as mid-year dependence changes required a qualifying life event, and having scammy parents wasn't on the list. Fortunately, Miguel, a compassionate rep from the health insurance provider, helped. "Since they have their own residence, and you no longer provide over half of their financial support, we can process this as a dependent status change," he explained. "They'll receive a notification that they've been removed from your policy, effective at month's end, giving them 30 days to find new coverage." "Perfect," I acknowledged. "Thank you for understanding that family matters can be complex." "I've encountered similar challenges myself," Miguel added kindly. Step 2 entailed adjusting the life insurance policy, easier than expected. An online form sufficed to remove my parents as beneficiaries, replacing them with a local children's charity. Before noon, I had severed all financial connections to my family, except for my brother Kevin's student loan. Supporting his fees had cost me $580 a month for 3 years, with 2 years remaining. Kevin, involved in the deceit, had appeared sincerely remorseful. Was it parental coercion, or mere regret upon discovery? A text from Kevin interrupted. "Mom and Dad are panicking. Dad's prescription was rejected at the pharmacy. What did you do?" That clarified his stance. No apologies or understanding, Just more pressure to reinstate financial aid. I replied, their consequences are no longer my concern. I declined Kevin's ensuing call and wrote a formal email to my parents, attaching a 12-page document prepared overnight. Robert and Patricia, it began, a comprehensive accounting of the $221,800 financial support I extended over the past 5 years is attached. As of May 31st, my health insurance coverage for you ends and the retirement account is closed. Your manipulation is documented through your messages mocking my generosity. Contact only to reimburse what was taken under false pretenses. Signed, Jordan Wright. After reviewing twice, I attached the document and sent it. Step 3 was completing, then I blocked their phone numbers and social media accounts. I felt exhaustion yet relief. My finances were finally mine. Then, peace broke. 3 days later, they circumvented my blocks. At 8:30 p.m., the doorbell interrupted me revising client proposals. Peering through, I saw my parents and Kevin displaying anger and panic. I refrained from opening the door, instead contacting Megan. They're here, I murmured, fearing they might overhear. Don't open for them, she cautioned. If they persist, involve the police. Isn't that excessive? I queried. Trust me, Jordan, she emphasized. Once inside, eviction emotionally and literally is much harder. The bell chimed again, accompanied by knocking and my father shouting, Jordan, we know you're inside. You can't sever ties without dialogue. I texted Kevin. Nothing to discuss. Leave, or I involve police. Through the peephole, Kevin read my text to them, sparking a heated exchange. My mother sobbed while my father reddened with anger. Eventually, they departed, but my father threatened, This is a mistake, Jordan. We're family. You can't abandon us. The irony of his use of abandon was hard to miss. They deserted any semblance of love years ago, viewing me only as financial relief. Come morning, the emails resumed. My mother guilt-tripped me over my father's neglected health sans medication, while my father's email demanded I cease the childishness. Kevin highlighted their incapability to maintain the mortgage. Each email was forwarded to Megan without response. Days later, a certified letter arrived. Inside, my mother's handwritten note read, Jordan, why punish us this way? Yes, we made poor jokes, but families do that. Your father's heart medication costs $450 monthly, uninsured. Our mortgage is due, unaffordable without your aid. We risk losing our condo. Is homelessness what you wish for your elderly parents? Stop this cruelty. Talk to us. Attempts weren't helped by the elderly comment. They were 65, healthy, and partaking in regular golf. Kevin inadvertently shared some revealing country club photos in a screenshot, painting a picture of a lavish lifestyle. Meanwhile, I pretended to be my mother and called the pharmacy where my dad, Robert Wright, filled his prescriptions. I'm inquiring about my husband's heart medication. What's the cost without insurance? I asked. Let me check, the pharmacist replied. It's $42 for a 30-day supply, Mrs. Wright, not $450. That evening, as I was leaving the office, Kevin appeared looking disheveled, with dark circles under his eyes. Please, Jordan, he pleaded, blocking my path. They're in trouble. Dad's mentioning bankruptcy. That's not my issue, I responded, trying to sidestep him. How can you be so heartless? They're our parents. Are they? Because genuine parents don't exploit their children and laugh at their gullibility, I shot back. They've made mistakes, but no, I interrupted. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. What they did was intentional and heartless for years. Kevin, for years. The condo is facing foreclosure. They can't keep up without your help, he argued. I felt a twinge of guilt, but then remembered a screenshot. Just tell Jordan we're struggling with rent. Meanwhile, we're closing on the lake condo next week. Cheers. They shouldn't have bought something they couldn't afford, I stated coldly. And what about Dad's medication? Kevin asked. The prescription that costs $42, not $450, I countered. He can work at Walmart if needed. Shocked, Kevin asked, How did you? I did my research. No more lies, Kevin. I walked to my car and added, "Tell them to seek government assistance programs." As I left, he called out, "They're discussing moving in with me. I can't handle that." I turned. "That sounds like your problem, Kevin. Welcome to reality." 2 weeks after severing ties, I attended a therapy session I'd finally booked. Dr. Bennett, a kind-eyed woman in her 50s with a straightforward manner, listened to my story. "Each day I oscillate between feeling strong and awful," I confessed. "Yesterday, I heard from a mutual friend that my parents had to cancel their country club membership, and I felt guilty for hours." "That's normal," Dr. Bennett reassured. "You're grieving the family you thought you had and the role you played as their supporter." "But they were using me," I countered. "Both can be true," she replied. "They didn't deserve your support, and you can still mourn not giving it." I considered that as Dr. Bennett continued, "Being a family provider became part of your identity. Now you're redefining yourself." I hadn't realized it that way, but she was right. For years, I had tied my value to being the successful daughter who supported her parents. Who was I now? As I left the session, my phone rang unexpectedly. It was Uncle Pete, my father's brother in Oregon. "Jordan, it's Uncle Pete. Your father called, asking if they could stay with us, since you cut them off and they're losing their home," he informed me. "It's complicated," I sighed. Uncle Pete commented dryly, "Your dad has always been a master of selective storytelling. Want to share your perspective?" I recounted everything from the screenshots to the medical expense lies. "I'm not surprised," he finally said. "Your father tried similar things with me, which is why we're distant relationships." I refused to fund his lifestyle. "You knew." I felt a renewed wave of betrayal. "Why didn't you warn me? Would you have listened? They had you believing they were in need, and you were their savior," he stated. He was right. I wouldn't have believed him. "For what it's worth," he added, "I refused to take them in and suggested they live within their means." He was angry and hung up. After we ended the call, I felt oddly validated. I wasn't wrong to cut them off. I wasn't a terrible daughter. I was simply the latest target of their manipulation, and I had finally seen through it. Later that evening, I received a text from Kevin from an unfamiliar number. "Mom and Dad are moving into my spare room next week. They're selling the condo. Dad's furious." I didn't reply. 3 days later, another message arrived. "The condo is on the market. Dad's car got repossessed yesterday. It's getting really bad." I almost texted back, almost offered help for moving expenses, but then I recalled a particular screenshot where Kevin had written, after returning from a business trip, "I found my parents on my porch, appearing worn and wearing unfamiliar, inexpensive clothing." Despite my initial instinct to drive away, therapy sessions with Dr. Bennett had prepared me for this possibility. As I approached my mother, Jordan pleaded with a cracked voice, "Please, we just want to talk. We've learned our lesson." My father echoed, "These past months have been hell." Inside, they sat awkwardly on the couch while I stood, my arms crossed. Apologies were mumbled about exploiting my generosity, claiming they lost everything: their condo, car, and savings. My father lamented how Medicare didn't cover his medication. My mother added that they had to live with Kevin in a place too small for comfort, leading to her sleeping on a pull-out couch. The country club revoked their membership, and their social circle ceased communication. Their narrative of hardship lacked any acknowledgement of the actual pain they'd caused me, instead hinting at blame owed to me for their plight. When they fell silent, I asked if that was all. My mother insisted they wanted to make things right, claiming they had learned their lesson. When I inquired what lesson that was, my father admitted that we shouldn't have taken you for granted, which I interpreted as their need to be more cautious. "No, you haven't learned," I replied softly. When pressed, I shared that their journey wasn't to apologize for the betrayal but to highlight their struggles without my financial aid. "We said we're sorry," my father interjected, "for getting caught, not for the betrayal," I clarified. In half a year, I'd imagined what a healthy family entailed. It's not mockery or treating a child as an ATM. My mother accused me of punishing them for a few jokes, but this was about self-protection. "We're parents," my father said. expecting that to justify everything. I was your daughter, not a personal bank, I retorted, opening the door. Expressing hope that they find comfort within their means, I declared I could no longer be a part of their lives. My mother's whispering plea, "We need you," highlighted their dependency on my provisions, not me. Anger replaced my father's earlier apology. "After everything we've done for you?" "Besides taking endlessly?" I countered. Their retreat was silent hope for realization, but my mother left a parting admonishment. "You'll regret this, Jordan. Family is all you have." I countered. "No, family should love unconditionally. I've built that with friends. What you offered was transactional." Closing the door brought no grief, only peace. The ATM was closed, marking newfound freedom in my adult life.